Welcome to Open Mic on Giant TV. My name is Mike Balsam, the host of this program. Today we take a look at the town of Fort Erie, and we'll meet our guests. First off, Mayor Wayne Redekop on his second term, but really his fifth term as mayor.
Really my fifth term, Mike.
So
exactly.
You were mayor 97 to 2006, if I'm
That's
not
correct.
mistaken.
That's correct.
And then you had that little hiatus.
I did.
Back to your legal career, ran for the NDP. Was that provincially or federally?
That was provincially.
Provincially, that's what I thought. And now you're on your second term, so you've been sitting in the mayor's chair for since 2014.
That's correct.
We also have Tom Insinna, new regional councillor, here in the studio with us. Tom, new to the job, what's it been like so far?
It's been a steep learning curve. It was said to me that I knew it would be a tough go at first to learn and get caught up to speed and everything else. And as our good mayor had said to me, start to read. There's a lot to read, and by gosh, there is.
Tell me about that, Wayne. What was that conversation like?
Well, I was just trying to give Tom a bit of a heads up as to what he could expect. We all know how glamorous politics is. You attend a meeting, you stand up, you give a great speech, people clap, and outside, everyone is giving you accolades. No, I thought that maybe I should bring him back to reality.
Yes.
Give him a little bit of an understanding of what it's like.
Nuts and bolts.
And so the staff at the region and most staffs of municipalities are very helpful, but the reality is the decisions are made by the elected officials, and so if you want to make good decisions, you have to make sure that you're informed. And to become informed, you have to listen to people, talk to people, and read a lot. And at the region and really any political office, there's a lot of reading. And we have a lot of large issues to deal with. And so I've encouraged over the years our staff to put in more photographs and pictures, but there's still a lot of reading.
Pictures worth 1,000 words.
I like crayons too.
They're good.
What is the relationship like in Fort Erie between a regional councillor and the mayor?
I think we're on the same wavelength most of the time.
I mean, you both sit on the region.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think we voted very similar in what we've gone through. He gave me the nod for the NPCA and to represent our area.
Yes.
And you know what? That's been a learning curve.
Can we talk about that a little bit? Because obviously the election night, and I was following the results as they were coming in on election night. It was a very close race, and you were up against, I would say, a very strong candidate, a very well-known candidate, but also a very controversial candidate because of that NPCA connection that he had.
Yes.
So were you surprised at the results? Were you taken aback that they were close, or were you even surprised that you knocked him off that night?
That's a good one. Didn't think we had a chance until as the results came in, and we knew that we had concentrated on Crystal Beach, Ridgeway, Stevensville. So when we watched the numbers come in Fort Erie proper, that if we were close, we might have a chance. But did I start out thinking that we could do this? No, you know what? But we had a good group of people, and we walked everywhere. We hit as many houses as we could. It was told to me by a former politician, get a new pair of shoes and wear them out. I still got those pair of shoes, and they got holes in them.
Did you?
I didn't run like the mayor, but
did you feel that the controversy worked in your favor then? The controversy over the region and the NPCA over those past 4 years?
To some extent. But again, you're going up against a name that everybody was familiar with. And one of the litmus tests that I was talked to and told about was, if I can walk into Walmart and people will know who you are, then you've done your job is for name recognition. Because when I first started, you walk into Walmart, nobody knows who you were. I walked into Walmart. Now my wife leaves me and goes about doing her own thing.
Right.
And then I'm there for whenever.
You know, who is Tom Insinna? And I look at your background, and it's fascinating. I mean, we could probably do a series of shows about your career. But we could, an intelligence officer with the RCMP. I mean, it's fascinating to me. And a lot of people maybe don't know that about you.
It was almost 31 years in the RCMP. Did all kinds of different things, went different places, saw all kinds of different things, spent a lot of time in court and in the witness box and things like that. And it was a great learning experience.
What prompted you? I know you were involved, the Gaming and Development Corporation, Property Standards Committee.
Yep.
So I know you were involved. What prompted you to take this step and make a run for the Regent seat?
I'll be very candid with you. It was, nobody was running against Sandy at the time. And I said, I can't do that. So I called my wife, who was out of town, and said, guess what? Remember I said that's what I wanted to do? You're out of town.
You're nuts.
She said I'm crazy, but she was out of town at the time, so I couldn't, So that's what I did.
Wow.
Put my name in.
Incredible.
It was a long shot, but you know what? It worked out. It's just really good.
So let's talk about some of the topics maybe that are coming up on the agenda at Fort Erie Council, Wayne. Short-term rental bylaws, and I'm assuming this is prompted by the whole Airbnb controversy that's hitting every municipality these days.
Yeah, it's not so much Airbnb because they actually run a fairly tight ship. They've got very good regulations, and they require certain standards to be met by the people that are involved with their program. It's frequently the people who aren't affiliated with any of those types of organizations. And so, as in most cases in life, the problem isn't the majority. The problem is a few individuals who aren't following rules, who aren't being considerate about their neighbors, who are taking advantage of a situation and creating problems in the neighborhood, which means it's a problem for us. So we have to deal with it.
Is there one of the areas in the town of Fort Erie that is more of an issue? Is it the Crystal Beach? Is it the Ridgeway area? Where is that popping its head up?
There are about 3 areas where we've had most of the problems, and they aren't really defined necessarily because of their location. They just happen to be where the problems are. And again, it boils down to the people who own the properties are taking advantage of a situation and aren't really being considerate of their neighbors, nor are they doing a service at all to the neighborhood.
Big news about a month ago, YMCA is closing because they just can't afford to upkeep that building. That's a big hit to the town of Fort Erie, am I right?
Well, the Y is an institution that's the building has been in our community for almost 30 years, and it was constructed through the efforts of a lot of the residents, through their donations, through their hard work to raise money otherwise, through the nonprofit organizations that put money into the facility, through service clubs that donated large sums of money, including E.J. Freeland himself, who personally challenged the Kinsman Clubs, of whom he was a member. And so it's an institution that has a history and is very well used by the community. So the fact that the Y they don't want to leave town, what they want to do is leave the building. And, that's something that they have to sort out themselves. I've been working with our CAO and a couple of our counselors in particular, but all the counselors are familiar with what's going on. We've had a number of meetings. I'm going to be calling together a group of individuals to help us find not only short-term solutions, which essentially means retaining the building, making sure that it's available for continued programs in the community, but also looking at long-term solutions, because you can't have a building of that nature that needs regular maintenance like all buildings and not keep it up. And so
going forward, you're looking at potentially another fundraising campaign where the community may have to step up and help fund a new building for the YMCA?
No. That's a perfectly good building. There's nothing wrong with that building. And I think that some of the costs that have been identified are exaggerated, number one, and number two, they don't all have to be done at once. They can be spread out over a period of years. So it's a matter of coming up with a program, identifying, basically triaging what needs to be done now, what can be done later, what's a reasonable financial program to deal with that, who's in the community that might be interested in helping to operate the facility, what organizations can take advantage of space in that facility. So, turn it into something bigger than what it is right now. Have more than one organization involved in the operation and make it truly a community hub in that part of the community. Not to suggest that it would supplant or replace the community hub that we've been working on at the other end of the town, but something which will simply be larger than what it is currently, because it is a gathering place. It's a gathering place right now for the 2,700 members, plus all the people that come in on a one-time basis and utilize it, and all the programs that are run there, whether it's Big Brothers Big Sisters,
Right.
whether it's the Head Injury Association, whether it's Heart Niagara. There's a lot of use, but the building has sat partially vacant. A third of it's been vacant for 5 years. That's space that can be utilized, and there are lots of opportunities. I've heard from a lot of residents of the town, as have the other councilors, as I'm sure has Tom. And people are attached to that building. They want to know what can be done. So it's something that we're not going to let go. It's something that we're very much committed to ensuring will continue in the community. So we want to have the facility. We want to have programming. We want to make sure that the people of all ages that are using it can continue to utilize it, and that there's greater use in our community.
Strategic plan for Fort Erie for 2019 to 2022. That's something I think you just did a survey, collected some information. What were some of the results from the collection of that information?
So that's something that is specific to the town.
Yep.
So since Tom is on the regional council, he and I work on the regional strategic plan.
Of course.
So for the local strategic plan, we've identified some basic needs, and they're not really too hard to guess, because we went through an election recently, and these are things that were talked about. So affordable housing, a mix of housing so that people have a variety of options in terms of what type of accommodations they will have, whether it's a home, single-family dwelling, or a duplex, or a condo, a townhouse, or an apartment unit, maybe even a tiny home. We're looking at lots of options. So affordable housing is a hot topic. Of course, economic prosperity is always important. So we're looking at ways that we can continue to encourage growth in our community, but also make sure that we maintain the natural heritage features that people love, because the people that live in Fort Erie are very attached to the environment, the woodlots, the wildlife habitat, and the people that are moving to Fort Erie are coming to Fort Erie primarily because of that and because of the lifestyle. So we want to make sure that we protect that. We want to make sure that people have access to the services that they need, including health care services. We're one of the few municipalities that early on got onto the notion that if upper levels of government are going to abandon healthcare in smaller communities, we've got to start taking control of that, and we've got to start encouraging people to live healthier lifestyles. So the programs that we have, recreational programs, sports programs, physical education programs, things like the recreation trail, our parks, those are all designed to help people live healthy lifestyles. And so we encourage that. That's a part of the picture. Communications is always very important, and we still need to get much better high-speed internet access throughout the community. And that's something that we'll work on. And there's a number of other things, but we're about 2/3 of the way through the process right now, and it won't be finalized until May. But the councillors are very energetic, and it's a very good local council. The councillors are all very responsive, very energetic. They've got a lot of great ideas. We've got a nice eclectic range of knowledge and experience, so it's complementary. So the residents will be served well when we're completed the plan.
Tom, Region's working on a strategic plan as well, and what is that focusing on? Are we there yet?
It was. There's so many things that are just starting to come forward. Whether it's transportation, joining all the regions together, joining all the part of the region together.
Do we think, in your opinion, with the two of you, do you think that we're going to see a more effective connection between all 12 municipalities within this upcoming term?
I hope so. I really do. There's nothing more I would like to see than for someone from Fort Erie who needs to go to St. Catharines to jump on a bus, maybe one or two transfers, and bang, you're there, or to get to an appointment, or to get to a go stop, to get to Toronto. I think we're on the brink. I think we're almost there. And I think the staff are doing some great work. And I believe the investment that was put in now is showing that people in the region that, they're committed to making this happen.
I had a meeting last night with someone who came down from Toronto, and he took the bus.
Yeah.
we had a 2-hour meeting, and then he took the bus back to Toronto. And, I was telling him how difficult it would be to do that between Fort Erie and Grimsby. It just, that doesn't really exist as an option right now. And it's something that, I think most people in the region would like to see within the next 4 years.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident it's going to move forward. And the over $7 million that the region is investing this year to upgrade that system is proof of that. In Fort Erie, we had been paying for the service between Fort Erie and Niagara Falls. The region's going to be taking that over, and they're going to be doing that for other municipalities, so that the system is going to be growing out from the center. So St. Catharines, Welland, Niagara Falls all have large systems. Fort Erie is the next largest, but the system will grow out from the center, and everybody will be brought in. And as I've said many, many times, this is one initiative that actually will help to bind the residents of Niagara together.
Yes.
In many other instances, there is no Niagara community. This will help to create the notion of a Niagara community. And I would say that whatever comes out of the provincial review of regional government, I'd be surprised if the government didn't make this a priority.
It should be a priority.
It should be.
It brings up an interesting, I think, a conundrum. And Tom, I'll ask you this because, as an elected official, people want to know that you're spending money wisely.
Yep.
Transportation, regional transit, whether it's, public transit in general, doesn't make money. It's not a money maker. It costs money. And this is not something that will be cheap. So how do you balance that out when you're looking at it budget wise?
But there's going to be that segment that one won't need it.
Of course.
There's always going to be that segment that says, well, we're paying for something that, but for someone for the opportunity, I don't drive to Toronto. I will go part way and I'll take either the bus or the train or the combination of thereof. But it's something that, and you were right, it will bring everybody together. It's part of the Niagara Transit. There are going to be people who are going to be upset about the amount of money spent. It's not a money maker. Very similar to policing. You don't make money on policing.
Right.
Contrary to what others think. But it's a service that's needed. And for those that need it, I take, for instance, the people out towards Black Creek and the senior for the homes out there. Well, a lot of the seniors that are in there need transportation. Some of them don't have their license anymore, or whether they don't have a car, but they need that transportation. So the bus stop that's there, they can actually get to Niagara Falls. They can get to different parts of Fort Erie now. So to take that away, you're going to be hurting a segment of the population that you really don't want to do that. They need that, and I think it's one of those things that we need to provide it.
And Fort Erie Transit did have a little bit of an expansion just last year, correct?
We did have an expansion, and we're in the process now of reviewing, now that we've got more data, reviewing how we can improve our system. We've got, since the region has taken over the Fort Erie to Niagara Falls link, there's money available for us to improve the service in the parts of the system that are the heaviest use. And so we're going to be doing that. We'll be finding other ways that we can improve that service as we go forward. But as Tom says, the reason government does public transit is because it doesn't make money. If it made money, there would be private entrepreneurs wanting to do it. But private entrepreneurs don't typically do fire service. They don't do public health. They don't do any of the services that government typically provides because they're necessary for the public, but they're not money makers.
That's right. Really quickly, just a few words. Racetrack's in good shape as far as right now.
Still there.
Still there.
Ready to open next month. I think it's a 40-day season again. And I'd obviously like to see the slots there, but that bus has left the depot for the time being. But I'm persistent.
Point Avenue Lighthouse, that has had some controversy again, some money sunk into that over the last couple of years.
Well, no, that was actually about 2012 that the money was put into that, and I guess maybe the public just latched onto it last year. But it's a national heritage site, and it does have challenges in terms of the fact that it's at the end of a private road that runs through a private colony. But the people of that colony have been very cooperative with the town. I think that we can do better. We can ratchet up the amount of times that people can gain access to that lighthouse. And so that's a work in progress.
Bay Beach, is there a charge to get onto Bay Beach this summer?
Non-residents, that is people who don't live in Fort Erie or don't pay taxes in Fort Erie, so summer residents who have a property and pay taxes, they can get onto the beach. Non-residents have to pay $5 per head. Residents can obtain a $10 season's pass. So
that's not too bad.
I think
you have some pushback on that?
We had some pushback from some people, and I got I'd say 3 or 4 emails after the decision was made by council. But it's we're just finishing a $3 million project to upgrade that facility. And last night I was at a meeting, and one of the people who lives very close to the beach was just uncontrollable in his praise and enthusiasm about what the park is going to look like, the amenities that are going to be at the beach. And he was very pleased about the decisions that we made relative to admission, security, parking, and what was the fourth one? There was another.
I've been to Italy. You pay to get on a lot of those beaches.
Yeah.
Unless you swim off of the Mediterranean.
That's right. Yes. Tom, NPCA, really quickly.
Yep.
You've had a couple of meetings that you've been to.
Several.
What's the atmosphere like? With
Great strides. Gail Wood is now the acting CAO. We are going through the CAO process right now to hire a full-time person. You know what? They're on track. And also, same with the foundation. The foundation is now with myself and Councillor Rob Foster, along with Gail Wood. And I hope, my hope is that all the attention that it was created beforehand continues to see the good work that is being done, is going to be done. And I hope people get involved. There's a lot of stuff, and I didn't realize all the different places around the Niagara region that were looked after by the NPCA. There's some great places. And that's what I hope everybody stays involved and stays tuned, because there's a lot of good things coming up.
From my end, I'm hoping that it's all positive news about the NPCA in the next 4 years.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us never paid much attention to those 4 letters until the previous term.
There's a lot of things. Then there's growing pains. There's things that are happening that there's a governance committee now. They're looking at the way things ran, the way things should run, and they're making changes accordingly, and some rightly so. I had the opportunity to have several meetings at the NPCA offices in Welland. They're a good bunch of people. They're smart people. They know their stuff, and I've been to the watershed meetings and things like that. They're doing good work. The unfortunate part is that they were overshadowed. The work that they did was overshadowed by the turmoil around it, and now it's a matter of getting that word out to everybody, saying, hey, look what they really do.
Well, good luck to both of you in this next term, in your 5th term as mayor and your 1st term as regional councillor. We're going to wrap things up here. Wayne, I got to tell you, I have a connection to Tom.
So that's why he was getting the easy questions.
Well, I was throwing him some softballs, but his sister is married to one of my cousins. And I didn't know that until election night, when my cousin texted me and said, hey, you got to get Tom Insinna on. He's Anne-Marie's brother. And I contacted Brian, and I asked him for some embarrassing tidbits about Tom. And all he could tell me was, he's a great guy. He won't spend our money unwisely. So, Tom.
And?
Well, there's a little bit about Maple Leaf boxer shorts. Yeah, but And just so you know, I've got a little bit of a connection to Wayne. I work for the DSBN in my day job.
Yes.
His wife Kathy was one of the program leaders for cooperative education. So
exactly,
she told me a lot of secrets about Wayne, but we can't get them on this show. No. Tom Insinna, regional councillor, Mayor Wayne Redekop from Fort Erie. Thanks for joining me on Giant TV Open Mic Show. Thanks for watching.